quickly, I know this is probably a very controversial headline. I remember tweeting it and I wasn't dragged, but people had a different opinion. So trust me, there's no right or wrong to this thing. We practically want to kickstart a conversation, and hopefully, if you listen to me, you get to find out what I was talking about. So now, these are two dashboards. This is an analytics dashboard, and that's a Spire feed box. And I will just run you something interesting. When I see this, like so many product people would see it, the one thing you see is numbers, total number of sessions, total number of users, new users, time spent, and blah, blah, blah. For a layman, if you see this dashboard, you probably don't know what it means. If you somehow do not understand data, it's probably very difficult to make our... And even if you understand what this means, like, I mean, if I see this, I know what it means. Until I start to dig deep into all of these numbers and connecting it, I really would not be able to gain insight off the back, you get. And so when I say that product analytics is in the past, my reference is the point that if a user does not take an action, you will not get this data, you get. So if people just open your apps or your website and do nothing, you will never get this data, you get. So someone has to take an action, and that resides in the past. But on the other hand, this user, he doesn't have access what's it called? He doesn't have access to his account, but right there and there, he's giving a feedback as to why they can't have access. There's a screenshot showing what's happening, you get, and there's a statement saying, I can't log in to my account even after trying to reset. Now you already know what he tried to do, what he has done, what he's trying to do, and probably why it's not working, you get. So that's why I said product analytics always sits in the past, and feedback, honestly, will sit in the future. I was telling Chooks and I said, this is actually our agenda, basically, you get. It's not like there's a serious debate around it. Product analytics is important, trust me. You get, more than anything, you don't want to play with that. But at the same time, it's to understand where it focuses on. For product analytics, it resides heavily on customer usage of your product, the performance of your product, and eventually the engagement happening in your product. And like I said earlier, if a customer does not use it, you never know why, you get. And there's very little you can get from business intelligence just looking at only product analytics. There's even very little you can get from the customer experience. And I know we do usability testing and UX, and product analytics is a big part of it. But at the same time, there's also very little, and that's why we'll go back to the contextual research and all of that. Now, I think Chooks will just talk about this now.
Hi guys. Okay, so stay with us. This next part, right, is just going to walk us through some stats that kind of buttress our point as to why feedback is a lot more important and kind of gives you more context than just having numbers and statistics would. Right, and the first stat here is that 62% of customers want to be able to engage with brands across multiple digital channels, right? And this is from Dimension data. Now, people like to be heard. People want to be heard. People want to be able to have access to you. As a business, it is really important that you have channels through which people can actually communicate with you, right? Send complaints, send how happy they are, or how sad they are, or how confused they are. It is really, really important, right? And those channels served basically as a central point for you to know what exactly is going on in real time with your customers, what your customers are experiencing, what your customers are trying to do, right? Where your customers are stuck. Analytics do not necessarily give you those context or the full picture as feedback would give to you. Okay, next we have 83% of customers agree that they feel more loyal to brands that respond and resolve to their complaints or their complaints, right? Now, we all feel loyal to people who listen to us when we are down, right? If you're using a product or a service, you're basically in a relationship, right, with that product or service. And you would definitely be loyal to them if they always listen to you and make you feel like you're important, right? When businesses make customers feel like they're important, they tend to be a lot more loyal. And how can you make customers feel like they are important? It is by listening to what they have to say, right? By learning and understanding and trying to know what problems they have, right? And trying to provide solutions to those problems. You can't know this necessarily from just looking at analytics, right? Or numbers. You can only know this by listening to what they're saying, what they are asking, and by actually looking at what you're doing. So we have 80% of customers 80% of companies use customer feedback to understand experiences and improve them. Let's face it, every business is in it for the money, right? And you get the money from who? From the customers, right? You want the money to keep coming in, so you have to listen to your customers, right? The best way to improve experiences is to find patterns, find patterns from complaints, right, that are coming in from customers. Find patterns from everything that people who use your products are saying. And you can't necessarily know this by just looking at a bunch of numbers on a screen, right? You can only know this by actually seeing words, right? By actually reading sentences that are sent in by your customers. Okay, so 100% of customers think that businesses are annoying as hell. Like, all businesses really have coconut heads, and the source is, trust I and Charles. We don't feel like giving, all right? Okay, so don't get us wrong. We're not saying that analytics is bad. This is not a analytics versus feedback war, right? We're just saying that feedback is also very, very important. And even though you have a lot of numbers show up on your screen as a business, it is really important that you are able to have more context, right? Numbers without context is not really useful, right? But numbers with context is a lot more useful and helps you grow your business. So building better products with feedback.
So all of what we've been trying to say is, we've been trying to just reinforce how feedback is at the bedrock of really how you can build better products. In fact, this should have been our topic, but we wanted something clickbait-ish and something that will that would spark conversations. And trust me, I have been engaging people all the way from LinkedIn and on Twitter about that topic. But essentially, this is what we are headed at. You can build better products with feedback. And this is the part where I rant about Spire. So start with Fidget. We thought of something, how do we make it very easy for customers to be able to give feedback without interrupting their experience? And for us is one click, all things feedback. Fidget is basically widget, but for feedback, you get. And what you're able to do is, you're able to collect real and usable customer feedback from your website just with a click of a button. Whether it's them rating their experience, whether it's them requesting a feature from you, or whether it's them reporting a bug. And it's as easy as a few lines of code integrated on your website, basically. If you don't have a website and you want to collect feedback, there's something called FeedLink, and by just scanning the QR code you can literally be able to collect feedback from your customers. So think of vendors, in fact, these events like this, and so many other unconventional places where customers do not integrate on your website, basically. It's customizable for starters. And you can be able to collect different types of feedback, whether you want your customer to do a screen record of the feedback, or you want them to take a screenshot. Whatever it is you want to do, you basically can customize it to suit the narrative you're trying to get from your customers. And even more in-depthly, you can understand your customers by technically targeting specific customer audiences when you're speaking to your customers. Whether it's the guy that just signed up today or whether it's that runaway user that comes back every 2 weeks. But basically, we are all up for context. Everything we're talking, in fact, at the core of everything we're trying to do is that if a customer complains and you pick it up, you are able to understand it in a holistic manner. So you know what's the customer's name, you know their email. In fact, you even know what plan the customer is on. You also get data as much as what browser they are using at the moment, what's their browser size, their screen size, and all of that. All of that context means, for example, your engineering, if it's a bug in your app, your engineering team can literally replicate on the spot. Without having to call the customer back. You can always, like I said, more context is better, honestly. You can collect visual feedback from your users, even within your internal team. Say, the most annoying one is designers and engineers fighting. Designers design one thing and engineers cook beans and fight don't start. But whether it's your internal team or whether it's your customers, you basically have visual feedback to help you do that. I can literally pinpoint what the problem is. Annotate it and make comments. Essentially, we have a faster way to fix bugs. Like I said, feedback with more context is really what we are about. Once a customer reports a bug, you can essentially get the browser console log right inside Spire's product, and you can be able to literally pinpoint, oh, okay, this was the issue is. All of this is, as an engineer, I want to be able to replicate what's happening. I have a lot of engineers call me when I have a problem, and they're like, oh, right click inspect. I was like, Chief, I know that. I literally take a screenshot of this and send to your customer support. Go and ask her. She has it. You get. So at the end of the day, as things even get complex with you, we're thinking of a central place where both businesses can manage both product and customer feedback in one place. So Feedbox, basically inbox Asana, but for feedback. You essentially are able to take feedback from every of your customer interactions in one place. You can manage them, and you can be able to connect them to initiatives like your roadmap, feature requests, and all of that. Essentially, literally anywhere your team sits on, regardless of your workflow, wherever feedback really is, we would be able to help you bring it into one place. All of this is I'm saying is, when we launch, people should go and use our product. I'll fight somebody. But yeah, you can do things like feedback management, feature request management, you get powerful analytics, and a true public roadmap, because when people say public roadmap, they tend to make it sound customer-centric, but essentially, there's nothing about the customer that's inside here. But with what we are building, you can literally take what customer A said, convert it to a feature, and put it on your roadmap, and the customer can be able to see the journey from where all of that happened. If already you are building brand loyalty by doing that. Finally, it makes sense in one glance. If, as a CEO, I want to see the performance of both the product we have in the market, as well as what customers are saying about it, I don't want to read through 10 pages of report. For product managers, even tasking to do that. What we're trying to do is, in one glance, if you click on feedback that's still open, you can literally see patterns of customer complaints. You can see trends of how your team is even speeding up. I'm going to shade somebody. Now, if Kuda Bank has this, maybe. Anyways, but yes, we are hoping that we are able to change the narrative around connecting both product feedback and customer experience together to just make it make sense. Having just analytics alone would not essentially solve the issues. With that, that will be all from us. Thank you for listening on. My name is Charles from Spire, and together with Ms. Struka from Spire.